All right, everybody. So the Warforged threw a sack of flour and it detonated like an IED. This is the Sessions Canceled podcast where we talk about everything mechanics, flavor, running the game, what have you. It's me, your boy, Isaiah, and I'm here with Josh.
Guten Tag.
Sam.
Hey.
And Matt.
Hello there.
And today we're going to talk about something that really chaps my khakis, something fierce, and that is equipment. I am very particular about how equipment is run during the game, and I always want it to sort of work, maybe not a certain way, but I always have an idea of how I would like it to work, and very rarely does it actually ever do that. Gentlemen, what do you generally think about equipment in TTRPGs?
Can we hold on?
Yes.
Before we really get into it, I just want to like round table it real quick. Because Isaiah, I know how you and me feel on the subject.
Yes.
Sort generally. I know me and you get very into it. Matt, do you give a flying fuck about equipment? Is it even something that like crosses your brain?
Not really. Honestly, I feel bad saying that, but no, it doesn't really come across unless it's like, you know, one of these discussions or a player asks. I don't really think about it most of the time during gameplay.
Sam?
I don't think you're ready for this.
Oh,
well, I said give us the short, quick version now. Get into it.
Oh, you want the quick version? Okay.
Yeah.
Equipment, cool.
All right. Well,
Damn it! God,
I don't know what I expected.
I was terrified that that's how he was gonna do it. In my head, he was gonna say equipment cool, and I was like, no, he won't fuck me like this. Surely he won't. No, he did. He absolutely did.
He did.
Okay.
He asked for the short version. I gave him the short version.
I mean, maybe not quite that short, but yeah, sure. All right, you got me.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can.
Okay. God damn it. So, we got one equipment cool, we've got one don't really care, and we've got two boys about to get real into it.
Mm-hmm. Me and Sam just gonna sit back with popcorn, just watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's just probably what it's gonna be like.
Watching the shit fling.
Maybe.
So, dear viewers, for me, when we're talking about equipment, I always have this idea that I want equipment to work in a specific way, and that way being, I don't necessarily want equipment to say, like, it can only do X, Y, and Z. I don't want it that hard-coded into the mechanics, because when you do stuff like that, it can be kind of limiting in the way that you can try to innovate using it. But I do like systems where, you know, every item does have a specific use, and I think equipment has been used my favorite way in the Fantasy Flight Star Wars games. What do you guys think about that one?
Not blades?
No, I like Blade. Well, so here's the thing. Blades is very vague about its stuff, but in a way that I like. And I'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay, all right. I like Blade system because it means that I don't have to think too hard about what I'm bringing with me, but I only like it in the Blade setting because I mean, if you're not going on heists, you know, or you're not doing a mission, like, it does not really work in D&D because that's more long form. Star Wars is a little bit more long form. It can be short form rather, but like, that requires the game to be specifically like that, and Blade specifically caters for that. D&D, Star Wars, they don't really cater to that. They cater to a much broader form of, you're gonna go do the thing, not for one session or two sessions, but for, like, you know, 5 maybe, depending on how good your party is about progressing.
Yeah, I basically, I completely agree with Sam on this one. I don't think I could have said it any better myself, actually. But, like, yeah, I think I like the most in Fantasy Flight Star Wars because the equipment system tells you this thing does this, it can be used in this way. It doesn't necessarily say that it can only be used in those ways, but it does specifically tell you that each item in the equipment list has a very specific purpose. For example, they tell you what the stim packs do, they tell you about the binocs, they tell you about the slicing tools. You know, like, there's nothing there that doesn't do anything, and if it doesn't do anything, it's just not in the list, right? Like, there's no rules for death sticks in Fantasy Flight Star Wars, because you just, like, you know that they're just cigarettes, right? Like, there's no point in putting them on the equipment list because they don't do anything. And don't worry, because I'm going to bring up 5e real soon and how that does that exact same thing, and it gets me real mad.
All right, hold on. So I want to like point something out I find kind of funny. Is so you're like, yeah, I really like the equipment system in Fantasy Flight Star Wars, which I also do like the equipment system Fantasy Flight Star Wars uses. However, the reasons you listed, none of those are at the top of my list.
Oh, really?
No. So hold on, I'm pulling up the PDF real quick because I just want to check something. Oh God, I'm not gonna be able to find the freaking equipment table, am I? Sorry, I should have pulled this up a little. Oh, here we go. This is what I was gonna say. I found it. So the thing that I actually, so you're right. Yes, it has some good. Like, there's a good fictional mechanical balance. But something I actually really like about the equipment system with the Fantasy Flight Star Wars games is how the encumbrance is handled.
Okay.
Because the encumbrance number is a relatively small number. You know, it's like 1 to 10, I think, roughly. And
yes.
the book is like, hey, the encumbrance is a combination of how much does this weigh and how unwieldy is this thing to carry around. So, like, looking at it, a light repeating blaster, which for anyone who's not like super into Star Wars, a light repeating blaster is like those really big. I was about to use Star Wars to explain Star Wars. Let me rethink that thought. A light repeating blaster is like a light machine gun equivalent in Star Wars, basically. So they're quite long, and they tend to have like a large, like a barrel or like an energy pack or something along those lines. So it's not so much that they're super heavy, but they have an encumbrance of 7 because they're really long and unwieldy, right? So I like that they take into account how much something weighs as well as how unwieldy it is. And I like that some things just don't count, right? So like some really small stuff like a stun grenade and thermal detonators, they have encumbrance 0 because you could just stuff up, realistically, especially, I mean, thermal detonators in Star Wars are very small. You could probably fit like 4 or 5 of those in your pocket, right? So that's like one of my favorite parts about it, which I know is kind of a funny thing. I also think it has a pretty good tag system to make some more like interesting weapons, like the tags on like what the hell's the frickin' the Mandalorian's rifle that everybody loves.
Oh, the disruptor rifle.
Yeah, there's some good like fun rule, like the way the tag system is. There's some fun ways they did disruptor rifle and stuff like that. And then they also have like there's the cumbersome tag, which is like, oh, not only is it unwieldy, but also you need to have a certain level of like strength to even be able to use it because it's such a like over the top weapon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all that. I have a question though, real quick. Also, Matt, in case anyone's wondering, Matt has not played this game, so he has no opinion on this game we were talking about.
Hi. I'm just here. I just exist.
I knew that this was gonna happen. I feel kind of bad,
it's
but
okay.
like I get really hype about Fantasy Flight's equipment system, so I wanted to talk about it.
It's a good game. Yeah. So, but
yeah, it's interesting because I like the more I hear you guys talk about like these other games, the more it actually does give me the inkling to like look it up and then maybe not play, but maybe look up or maybe a one shot. I don't know, down the line, mayhaps. I'm just curious though, Isaiah, what brought this? Was this topic thought brought on by a specific thing?
Yes, actually, I'm happy you brought that up because now I'm gonna plug something that we're not being sponsored for.
God bless.
About 6 months ago, Matt gave me access to a PDF that's it's called the Heroes of Midgard. Oh God,
handbook.
What's the name?
Player handbook.
And in that, there is a special section at the beginning of the book that basically completely revamps all of the mundane weapons in the game, and as opposed to them just being like weapons with like a weight and a damage type, each weapon has unique special abilities and attacks and things like that they can do to help spice combat up. And what I really liked about that was that, let's face it, most of the weapons in 5e is the same weapon with the same stats and the same weight and everything. It just has a different name, like Halberd and Glaive. What's up?
You're being far too kind. Say it like it is. They're fucking boring.
Yes, they're boring as fuck.
They're
fucking
fucking
terrible. I hate
boring.
them. I hate them so fucking much. I'm sorry. It just, every longsword is the same. Every dagger is the same. They don't do anything unique.
To explain a little extra context to the viewers, also listeners. I always say viewers, listeners. Isaiah's really, really, really into like weapons and like historical weaponry. And
so
history.
I'm a collector.
I am just really into history. So I really like the little nuancy differences between a rapier, a side sword, a bastard sword, like all that bullshit that most people don't even know or care about. Yeah. So that's why we have strong opinions.
And we talked about this about two episodes ago. We talked about like ways to spice combat up, right? And I brought this up there.
Episode.
Was it last episode? Okay.
Yeah.
And just it is the same thing. It's like I've been playing D&D for about 5-6 years now, and I do get fun out of combat even now, just based on like the way that I flavor a character, and that's all fun and good. But it gets to a point where it's like you just want something else, and at least I feel this way. I don't know what anybody else does. It's really easy, I think, to at least remedy some of the problems with 5e's combat. And like the big one that I use in my games is just different dice, right? Like the fact that a greatsword does 2d6 and a great axe does 1d12, awesome. I love that. Why can we not have that for more things, right? You can have a scimitar do like 1d6, and the short sword could do this is a different damage type, so maybe this doesn't work too well, but like 2d4. Or you can have a glaive do 1d10 slashing, and a halberd does 1d10 piercing. And I know that's not dice, that's damage typing, but like just simple stuff like that.
Well, Isaiah, I believe, didn't you?
That implies that damage typing matters.
True. I mean, make
that's
damage
a whole
typing
other
matter
thing.
more, but that's its own.
Make damage typing matter more. That would help with this problem. But also, Isaiah, I believe you said in your game that you made a great sword that was like 3d4 for the damage.
I did, yeah.
Or for the damage die? Yeah. So like that's a thing. But also, we've talked about this before, Isaiah. I know we have. 5e already has the thing in place to make their equipment more interesting, and then they just like didn't use it.
Yeah, it's the tags.
The tags. Like a lot of people forget about this in 5e. The only two tags I think anyone ever gives a shit and or pays attention to with 5e is the throne tag and the finesse tag, and that's pretty much it.
I would throw versatile in there.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people know versatile is a thing, but don't realize it's a tag. They just think that this weapon just can be one or two handed. Like I don't even think they realize it has like a system behind it.
I don't necessarily agree with that. But
I could be wrong, but yeah.
So going back to the Midgard Heroes Handbook, they've basically given every weapon, for the most part, unique abilities that they can do based on what they are. So a short sword does not act at all like a scimitar, and that's awesome, right? Like short swords have, I believe they have something like quick draw, and so like you can, or it's pommel strike or something like. You know what? I'm gonna check. I probably should have pulled this up previously, but it's fine.
You had it open. Yeah.
I should have. Oh, that's not my PDF reader. That's my mod.
Plus.
Yeah, no, that was not it. Oh, but it's fine. We're opening it now.
So, for thrown weapons, daggers, are you talking about pinning point or concealed blade? Because there's two different. At least I'm looking at the PDF right now.
Well, I didn't bring up. I was talking about short swords. So.
Oh, short swords. I'm sorry. I thought you said daggers.
So short swords has something that's called close quarters combat. When you successfully grapple or escape grapple a creature or escape a grapple, you may make a single attack with a short sword as a bonus action. Additionally, whenever a creature fails to escape a grapple with you, you may also make a single attack as a reaction. Or you get short draw. As an action, you may draw a sheathed one-handed sword and make an attack to roll a strike against the enemy with its pommel, leaving the target gasping for breath. The attack deals no damage, but the next attack against that creature has advantage. That's awesome. Meanwhile, Scimitar has Bloodied Wound. When you hit a creature with a Scimitar, you can choose to take a superficial but bloody wound. This attack deals no damage, but the target takes 1d6 slashing damage at the beginning of each of their turns until they make a DC Wisdom medicine check as an action to stop the bleeding. I can't read out loud today. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, it just...
I mean, read a little slower, Chief.
Yeah. It also has short draw, but that's fine because the big ones that they have are completely different. And I think that's fantastic. It's so good. It's so good. And it completely changes the way the game is played because then you can do things like, oh, well, I choose, if you have extra attack, you go, okay, well, I'm going to forego. Oh, I just said forego. I'm going to
He said the thing.
Shut up. I'm going to forego my extra attack to potentially give someone else advantage while I get to do an attack, or you can stun an enemy. There's so much that you can do with it.
Right. The only thing coming from, I guess, the devil's advocate here, like the reason I feel like they made the weapons they are when back in 2014 5e, I think that they did that because it's, streamlined, simplified to get new players involved. And I think that...
Are you ready for the counter, Matt?
Sure. Hold on. Let me just finish this one quick point, if anything.
Right. Cue up that Guilty Gear counter sound effect.
Objection.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not Guilty Gear. I'm sorry, but
it's still pretty good.
Yeah, it still works.
But for Streamlined, I think these options from the Midgard book, which like Cobalt Press books, fucking magnifique, so good.
Yep.
I think that if you throw these options at your players, like more like, I don't know, like experienced players, I think they'll grab onto it and gravitate towards this, and they'll add new options and mechanics that will get people thinking more in combat and give something more to marshals, because I know a lot of people argue like, well, martial classes don't have enough shit to do, look at all these spellcasters.
Equipment would help. Yeah.
I think the one thing though is, again, that whole the new player, like you give all these options to new players and I think they're gonna get kind of like frozen, like with all the choices and options, and be like, Well, but I don't know, what were you gonna say, Josh?
Right. Yeah, you go on, Josh, because I also have a thing I want to say.
Here we go, boys. Cue up your Guilty Gear. Here's the deal. Agreed. Yeah, 100%. New players are gonna be like, oh, that's a lot of buttons. They're gonna look up their move list and be like, what the fuck's a pretzel motion? I'm gonna be like, I feel you, fam. I understand. Here's the deal. You don't have to use a pretzel motion. Just focus on quarter circles for right now. Because 5e already solved this problem. Again, optional rules. That's what they're there. And I don't mean optional rules in the way that feats are optional rules and that they're not actually optional and nobody treats them that way. I mean actual, genuine optional rules in that here's the equipment, right? And then you have the 5e equipment as is. And then you go further in the book and here's the advanced equipment rules. If you would like to do more complicated things with your weapons, here you go. This is what you have. We do not recommend this for new players. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just section the two things away. It's very simple.
Hey, Josh, you want to know my counterpoint to that?
Yes, please. Hit me with a half circle back forward motion.
They already did that. It's called the weapon feats.
Got him.
Yeah. Kinda, yeah, a little bit. But I think... I want it more built into the weapons, though. I think I don't like it being
I understand. I fully understand.
But yeah,
but they already have that there.
Yeah, I guess they kind of do.
You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. The weapons are. I don't like this answer, but they've already done this. They already have a system in place where you can make weapons more unique, but you have to spend a feat on them, which is like to newer players that might not mean anything. So, but also it requires you to get to a certain level to use it. So it's like it's balanced, but not. It's it's a thing.
Yeah, no, I see what Sam is saying, and it's funny. We started this talking about Star Wars, and I do want to go back to Star Wars real bad because I don't want to shit on 5e the entire time.
I mean, it was gonna happen. You knew it was gonna happen.
It was. I just I want to at least pretend that these podcast episodes are not 70% about 5e. Let me just off my copium, please.
Well, no, but we're not sucking 5e's dick. We're shitting on it this time. Big difference.
I don't even think I'm shitting on it. I don't want to
say shitting on it.
I want to provide more constructive criticism than anything else.
Okay, let me put it this way. When it comes to equipment, I will shit on the game.
Yeah,
I'll praise the game for a lot of other things, but not for this particular section.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with the optional rules thing, but I don't see a reason why to not at least put the thing, right? Because it's like, okay, yes, there's a lot of things you can do. It's not really, right? You get 3 types of attacks at level 1. You can, right? And maybe it's just because I've been playing the game for so long, but you know, you can have these rules implemented into a weapon. You can just not use them. You know, like
you absolutely can.
If you think it's simpler and you don't want to have to think about, you know, making the enemy roll a dex, because like the bloody wound thing, I admit that can get a little complicated because like it doesn't say if it stacks or not, and you know, yeah. But you know, just attacking that does a thing that works, right? And you do have other class-based abilities that can support what you want to do. But much like the way that I think that lingering injuries should be handled, which is, and again, this is my personal opinion, that you shouldn't force them on the players, but the players should be allowed to take them if they are feeling particularly spicy. This is sort of the same way, and I think this perfectly encompasses the way that I like running games, which is, here are some options for you. If you don't want to use them, you don't have to, but these are things that the enemies could potentially use against you. So if you want to potentially get a bit of a leg up on the enemies, and or learn how the enemies fight, because if they're going to use it against you, knowing how the ability works is half the battle.
Right. Yeah, a good way to have new players become interested in the like fancy weapon system is if the bad guy beats their ass with it and suddenly they're like, wait, can I do that? And you look at them and go, yes,
you can. Exactly. So yeah, the Midgard Heroes book is so cool. I mean, I say that I barely read any of it because I saw the equipment was like, ooh, and I go back and read the equipment thing every so often just to be like, damn, this is good.
Well, and I think another part too of the, particularly when talking about 5e, and I think some other games also have this problem, is that if your base design of the game is like with 5e, I think part of the problem is that martials, right, the fighter and, you know, the barbarian and whatnot, the rogue, your classics, are more simple by default, right? Like they're designed more simply. So because you started from that point with the classes, now putting it on the equipment is like an extra step. So it kind of comes back to that, like, maybe they dumbed down fighter too much, you know? Which I think I think they did.
Impossible.
And it's funny because the reason they dumbed down fighter is because of this sort of like, I don't know how else to, I'm just going to steal this. The podcast System Mastery, they made a joke about this. They dumbed down fighter for the mythical little brother because people kept being like, how is my little 8-year-old brother supposed to play D&D when fighter is this complicated? Because they're talking about 4th edition fighter, right? And it's like, who is this mythical little brother you're sitting down to play D&D with? And why are they so dumb that they can't seem to like read a couple of lines of like information, you know, like it's like this weird thing that got pushed on the game that I don't think was ever real, but it was just like a like perceived reality. I don't even know how to put it. Very odd. It's a very weird thing, and I think equipment falls under that same scenario. Like, well, how is my 8-year-old brother gonna play if a longsword can do not one but 2 things? 2 things is too many. It's like, what? You know?
He's got a point though. 2 things is too many.
Too many.
That's right.
Wild.
Too many whole things.
So it's like, yeah, it's like make it optional and then entice your players. And when I say, and I mean player, including the GM, entice. When I say players, I mean everyone who plays the game, right? Entice people by adding those interesting bits, sort of showing how it can be cool. This kind of goes back to the situation of fighting games and how fighting games keep trying to simplify everything. And it's like, no. To get people interested in the fighting game, the secret is not to simplify. The secret is to show everyone how cool everything can be and then give them the tools to learn the cool shit and like make them feel good about it, not dumb everything down. to try and like close the gap between high level skill and low level skill, because there is no closing that gap. It's impossible. This is a different tangent I'm going to get on about fighting games, so I'm going to cut myself off here.
Okay, I was going to say, by the way, I noticed that you like somehow fucking like debated me into ranting about equipment in 5e. I don't know how you did that, but you did. Congratulations.
Because
it's easy.
How can we not?
How the hell did you do that? How did I like walk into that so easily? God damn.
I know what gets you Jimmy's rustled.
I know you really hit the Goku button. I don't know how I let you do it to me. You motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, adding options is never a bad thing. And yes, you can add too many. I completely agree that you can add too many, but you should never have equipment that doesn't do anything. Right? Because if it doesn't do anything, there's no reason in wasting the ink. And going back to...
I guess the argument would be that even just an attack is doing something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this current statement is sort of on the topic of equipment in general, just sort of leaving weapons. And like, you know, I mean, I actually kind of don't believe what I just said. TBH,
earlier we were talking about adventuring gear and like the whetstone. And
there's a whetstone in 5e.
Yeah, there is. There is.
Yeah. In the players,
that's part of the problem, Josh.
It does
there are
nothing.
items.
Yeah.
So there are items that you just don't know what they do because they're just kind of there. So you just don't pay attention to them. And it's like we have candles in D&D.
Right.
I mean, actually use candles.
Here's the thing.
Genuinely.
Here's what I'll say with D&D specifically, and some other games probably. I wouldn't be surprised if Vampire had this problem at 1.2. Is older games have this weird legacy where back in the day, games used to list the price of everything from like car keys to nuclear missiles, because what if your players want to buy a nuke? You need to know why, even though you're playing like a superhero game and no one would ever reasonably want to buy a nuke. But they tell you how much a nuke costs because you need to know. Yeah. And like, I remember I was listening to like a review of a really old, I think it was like an old Marvel's game, and it was, you know, it's about playing Marvel superheroes, and then there's an entire like several pages dedicated to apartments and housing and how much everything costs. And it's like, literally no one cares about this. Yeah, exactly. Like nobody cares about this. I'm not playing Spider-Man to know how much Spider-Man's rent is. Like it's so fucking, it's wild.
Kind of bizarre.
So it's like, so I think what's
just a little.
It's very. So I think what's going on is the reason D&D 5e has dumb shit like an abacus and a whetstone is because it's that legacy of how the game used to be handled and designed. Well, I mean, shit. Back in the day, adventures, like adventure modules, used to give you every NPC in a town with everything they own and how much all of it costs and how much money they have, just in case you wanted to rob them.
I mean, I kind of do like that, TBH, but you know,
no, fuck out of here with that. Too much work, not worth it.
Yes, look, motherfucker, I'm hosting. Fuck off.
I was just saying.
So here's my thing with that kind of stuff, right? Because if we look at D&D Beyond, and you look at whetstone, it just says a standard whetstone used for sharpening blades costs 1 copper piece, it weighs 1 pound, it's a utility item. My thing here is, and the reason why I like Fantasy Flight so much, is because you can have the little descriptions, but the little descriptions can have some sort of mechanical effect, right? So what if, as opposed to whetstone, right? Whatever, as opposed to a standard whetstone used to sharpen blades, what if instead it said whetstones can be used for like, I just fucked my own quote up. You know, whetstones can be used to repair swords. Or repair weapons. Right? And we have things in 5e that can destroy weapons, right? Some slimes, the rust monsters.
Kind of.
Critical hits is one of the things that can destroy items in 5e if you're using those variant rules. If you do have it in there, it's basically the same amount of ink, right? It's basically the same sentence, but you're using it to imply something. Can repair weapons. And those are key words that 5e uses in its mechanical terminology, right? They work across the board.
Yes. The problem, though, is if you do something like that, when you say this can repair weapons, and then your game has no real mechanical backbone to how weapons can break, then it's just like, why did you bother? You know? And there are some things that break weapons in 5e, but it's so freaking rare that it's like, does it matter? You know?
I mean, I'll be honest, that's just one example of what a whetstone can do.
It is. I'm just saying, my broader point there is that you have to be careful about you have to be careful about implying the existence of a mechanic through something and then that a mechanic not actually existing, right?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Here's the thing. Just because it doesn't fill the very specific need to that much of a degree, like, yeah, sure, whetstone to weapons, that might not come up too often. But like an abacus is potentially got 1,001 uses. And all you would have to say is, can assist in intelligence checks. That word, like, can assist, you can take that as it can give you advantage, it can give you a floating modifier, it can reduce
Devil's
the DC.
Advocate, though, D&D is very specific about those sorts of things, so it wouldn't say, like, given how the game is currently written, I don't think it would say can assist in intelligence checks. It would say, in matters of mathematician questions, you can use this to get a +1 on your intelligence plus abacus roll or whatever, you know, like, it wouldn't, because they don't do that style of language where it's like sort of up to DM interpretation. They don't do that very much, you know? They try to avoid that.
Sure, they might
That's where it
try
gets
to
tricky.
avoid it, but they don't always do a very good job of it.
I mean, they don't avoid it 100%. I agree. I think they should embrace that kind of language more, but they don't that much. So like, you get in this situation where if you start making equipment like that for later versions of the game, then you get in this space of, oh, well, that's not how I was thinking about things before, and now I have to kind of change how I'm running. Like, it's a small example, so this sounds more dramatic, but it could potentially spiral into a weird place.
It could, but I'm very doubtful that it will, right? Like, and what I mean by that is, it doesn't have to give you anything concrete, but it can tell the GM that it does a certain thing, or it can be used a certain way. It doesn't say that it needs to be, it says that it can be.
I think so many GMs expect that concreteness, though.
Well, okay, sure,
you know?
But it is, like, if you put in the equipment, because the equipment's got rules in of itself, right? If you say, you know, equipment can vary in its usability from situation to situation. You can think about either granting advantage, using floating modifiers, lowering DC. If you put that in the rules, it tells the GM to start.
Those aren't allowed.
Fuck off. It tells the GM to start thinking about it that way, right? And it's not I have to relearn it. It is you're learning it out the gate. And that can reinforce the more vague, quote unquote, language that could be used to revise the equipment.
Yeah. Yes. I guess the problem, right, is that because the game wasn't necessarily like that in the beginning, there's going to be this like transition period of people being angry, which I guess, I mean,
it's what's happening right now. Not much is going to change.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to give people another thing to bitch about, ourselves included.
Yeah. I guess fuck the angry people. I get.
Yeah, Josh. Every time something changes in any video,
True.
People will get angry. People were angry when we went from 3rd edition to 4th edition. People were angry when we went from 4th edition to 5th edition. It doesn't matter. You make any change, people are going to get upset. And then, like a year later, there will be some that remember, but most people will forget or just stop caring because
I feel it within an edition. I don't know. I mean, I'm conflicted. Like, I like what you're saying, Isaiah. Like, I would definitely use what you are saying, but I could definitely see a lot of other players being, you know, the rules as written people that get really fucking tight asshole about it. You know, they would have such a hard time with something like an abacus saying assist in intelligence checks. They would look at that and go, what does that mean though?
Well,
you know?
So it says it. That's why I said, if you put it in the general equipment's rules to say, in this instance, words like assist or may vary can mean either floating modifiers in advantage, adding your proficiency, because you're hard coding, you're almost hard coding the vagueness, right? You're saying it can do these things based on what you as the GM feel are necessary to the situation. And this is a great segue because that's why I love Fantasy Flight so much.
Hey, we brought it back.
We brought it back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Let's get the applause in there.
Big claps all.
Because claps. I could be talking out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Because I was really hyped with the equipment in Fantasy Flight, but I have not read the rules in a while. I was going to read them today when I got sidetracked because my brothers asked me some stuff. But for example, I remember Ro was very particular about getting the goggles, like the thermal goggles or something like that. And all it says is that you can see in the dark and you can see infrared. That's all. It doesn't tell you like out to a certain feet or in specific conditions. It just says it can do these things.
Well, see, that's what I was saying too, right? That's what I mean. That's where I was saying about 5e's specificity problem. The reason Fantasy Flight Star Wars doesn't have to say out to 60 feet because they already disregard that concept and do everything in like short, medium, long range, right? So
True,
the game from the ground up was built to avoid that problem, whereas 5e is built on 5-foot increments and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Well, because you could easily have put the limitation of you can see infrared out to medium range. But it doesn't say that. It just says you can do it. And it sort of does rely upon the GM to go, okay, well, if it's foggy, they're probably not going to have long range sight, right? Like it sort of plays off a rule of simple logic and common sense.
Right. Yeah, it does.
I really like that it does that. And like, if it doesn't do that, it tells you specifically what it does, right? Like stim packs are fucking cool as shit. Stim packs say you jab somebody with a stim pack and they heal a certain amount. But it also says that you can't spam them because if you do, people can get sick and then they get less effective, right? Like it gives you hard-coded rules and it gives you cool, not lore, but interesting situational effects that it can have on a specific scenario, you know?
There's like ramifications. So like, I can keep healing you. However,
well, it does also have
Just
mechanical.
die.
It does literally have mechanical ramifications too.
Yeah, but you know, the mechanics are going hand in hand with the situation.
They are,
if it's like, oh, well, you have, you know, you heal someone 3 times, they start getting woozy. They fail a roll. The wooziness explains why they rolled like 5 disadvantage. You know, that can compound into something else. And if they get hit with a critical hit, it can compound into something, right? Like it makes it super easy to play off of itself in a way that the flavor can affect the mechanics and vice versa.
Well, and also Star Wars has again, they built this from the ground up, right? Like, so that's why this works good is they have a really good system of the whole boost and what are the black dice called? Setbacks.
Setback,
They have the boost and the setback die, right? So it's really easy to have a piece of equipment, slap some flavor on it, and then just be like, it gives you a boost die. Nice and simple, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's again, they have a good system. They have a better foundation to work with. I think that's where 5e starts to run into problems, is the foundation for equipment isn't really there other than like weapons and armor, you know, the standard shit. That's where it you know, if you don't have that foundation to build on, it becomes a lot harder to work it in a way that's elegant and compelling, you know?
Yes, I will not pretend that it doesn't have the possibility for that, but the cool thing about 5e is that it's just bare bones enough that it's highly customizable, you know?
It is.
Like,
it is.
And yes, you might have some ramifications. Like if you're using, we're going to go back to Midgar's Hero's Handbook real quick. If you're going to use the Maul's rib shatter ability, or not Maul, but like I can't remember what the hell. One of them, it basically is like they have to make a con save or be stunned. All right, well, it's like, okay, you can make the argument that it sort of makes the monk's stunning strike irrelevant. And yeah, potentially, because it is free, but it does eradicate their ability to extra attack, where monks can do it up to 4 times a round. All of them are stunning strikes, right? So it changes things, and it might flip them in the favor of something else, but it does not completely eradicate the usefulness of the other side of the argument, right? Monk stunning strikes are still going to be amazing. It's just that now the fighter can get 1 off per round if they're feeling spicy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It worked good.
It worked good. Yeah, I mean,
cool. Yes.
Midgard cool.
Tell me more about how it cool, please.
It do good. It do good in the good way. You know.
Right. I see.
It make the whack fun.
Whack fun.
Yeah,
Whack
I
food.
mean, you know, it's kind of
Good show.
funny.
No.
It's kind of funny. I don't remember. I mean, I remember that show existing, but I don't remember anything about it. You know, it's kind of funny for me because I don't like my games really, really crunchy, right? I don't. It may come up if you've been listening since, you know, first episode, it may come off like I like games that are super crunchy. I actually don't. I like really elegant mechanics, but I don't like super crunchy mechanics, which is kind of why Shadowrun can eat my balls in terms of game design. That's a whole other thing.
I like throwing a lot of dice though, Smile.
I mean, I do like throwing a lot of dice. That part's fun. But equipment is one of those places where I kind of want the game to be a little crunchier for some reason. Like, I want that kind of, I guess it's that Witcher thing, right? I want the idea of like, I have the specialized equipment for the specialized problem, and I'm such a fucking big brainous Chungus guy because I brought the silvered sword to the werewolf fight kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, with equipment, like, I don't mind adding some extra stuff to my equipment, which is why a lot of games, that's probably the one thing with a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games that tends to disappoint me, is though that subset, I guess, that family of game design tends to ignore equipment as like a major factor.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I just existed through 20 seconds of brain blast. Are you speaking bad about Powered by the Apocalypse? You, Josh? Are you what?
I mean, I'm not speaking bad of Apocalypse World. I'm speaking bad of the games from it to some degree.
No, I just, but you're saying anything bad about the Powered by the Apocalypse games is just, viewers, this does not happen.
I mean, yeah, fair. But like,
You heard it here first, folks.
I think Dungeon World sucks.
Dungeon World is trash. It's all garbage.
actually, it's funny. Dungeon World has more equipment rule stuff because it comes from, you know, because it's based on D&D. So I kind of had to adhere to equipment a little bit more, although not that much.
All I'm hearing is game bad.
Yeah, game bad.
God.
But like, yeah, my point. Anyway, point being,
Game not cool.
Game not cool.
Yeah. After the memeing on me's done.
Players, listeners, we do actually like Dungeon World.
We do.
I mean, yeah, I love Dungeon.
We do.
Matt's never played it. He doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about.
No, I've read.
Oh no, that's right. You didn't play that one shot with us.
No, I didn't.
he
I'm
didn't.
sad. I'm big sad. I wanted to play the fire guy.
Exactly. But yeah, so like, that is one of those things that Powered by the Apocalypse games tend to kind of, I don't want to say ignore is kind of a strong word, but you know, they don't tend to focus on it as like a primary thing very much. And that is one place that I tend to get a little disappointed, because I do want, I don't know. I want a little more crunchy fun to my equipment, which is a little counterintuitive in some ways, but I can't, which is funny enough, that one of the things I do kind of like about Shadowrun is the equipment in Shadowrun's kind of interesting.
You've talked about, I remember you and Sam have talked about the equipment in Shadowrun quite a bit, and I've just never had a chance to look it up. But from the admittedly very little that I do know about it, it does seem like it would scratch that itch for me, where it's like everything has a purpose, but everything can be extrapolated upon.
It's a real shame, because I really do like Shadowrun. And Josh, I know you hate running it, but like I really like the system, and it's really sad that it's like not great.
It's rough to run. It really is.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. I really enjoy it.
I could maybe come back to it if I came back to it with the mindset of like, I'm just gonna, the shit that annoys me, I'm just gonna ignore it, and I'm just gonna try and really hone in on the good parts, I guess. Like, there might be a way I could do it, but oof.
Yeah. So what about Shadowrun that makes it like hard to run? Like, exactly. Is it a whole big thing, or is it just like?
Yeah, it's kind of a a whole big thing, because it's problems on top of problems. Okay. Basically, I'm trying to think of how to even really summarize it. The thing with Shadowrun. Sam, go ahead. I have to think about it.
I was gonna say, because one of the biggest problems with Shadowrun is that sometimes you just have to run 2 different games going on at the same time.
Not what I was gonna mention, but yes.
Okay.
That's a cyberpunk genre problem, though. It's not only Shadowrun.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
Yes, but Shadowrun is very, very
it's bad.
Yeah, it's not great about it.
What Sam is referring to is the problem. So anyone who's not familiar with the cyberpunk genre, a big thing in the cyberpunk genre is you always have at least one hacker on the team, right? You have your Shadowrun your standards with Shadowrun, you have your street samurai, maybe you have a mage, you have like a rigger, maybe you have a gun guy, which is essentially another street samurai. But you always have a hacker, and the hacker's job is to go into the the Matrix. I know, the metaverse.
Can't believe you were almost in metaverse.
I'm sorry.
Metaverse.
I think there is a game that calls it the metaverse. But anyway, so like you have to go into the Matrix and do all the hacker stuff. And because of the way Shadowrun is, the Matrix is like, it's like the Matrix, the movie, where you have an avatar and you're like doing stuff like you're a person. It's sort of like a video game kind of thingy, right? Yeah. So you can have like literal combat in the Matrix and Shadowrun. Like your character, like you, basically what it is you're like, I'm a hacker and my character's avatar is, so like when I was playing a Technomancer in a Shadowrun game, my character's avatar was literally a samurai. So when I did hacking things, I fought like a samurai with a katana in the Matrix.
Yeah, you basically have 2 different characters.
Kind
wild
of.
To hear.
Yeah. So like when I was fighting, so like when I had to hack, I don't even remember, but I was like hacking into something and I had to fight a virus, and the virus appeared as a monster and I fought it as a samurai with a sword, because that's how the Matrix is in Shadowrun. Anyway,
my God.
So yes, the Matrix is essentially, and this is a problem with a lot of cyberpunk games, is the hacker is essentially playing one game and all of the people out on the what they call meat space are playing a different game.
Yep.
So there's
that's just one issue.
That's one issue. I think the primary issue Shadowrun has, and this is actually funny enough, this issue does get reflected in the equipment, and sometimes it does get a little annoying. Shadowrun has a really bad case of what I like to call roll to take a piss. I feel like I've made this joke before, but I don't know if I made it while recording.
Yes, you have.
I don't know if I made it, while we were recording. But yeah, Shadowrun has the roll to take a piss problem, where they ask you to roll everything, and or they have a mechanic for everything. So every little thing you could ever like really give a shit about doing has to have all these rules, and you have to go, all right, hold on, let me go look in the book. All right, how long? Like a great example is Shadowrun has like, I want to say 2 pages dedicated to drowning, like how drowning and swimming works. And it's like, when is this ever going to come up? You wasted 2 pages of art and ink and everything on this shit. So another great example is when you're in combat in Shadowrun, it takes not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. It takes 4 rolls to attack someone. 4.
So God, that actually sounds like torture. Like
yeah.
So this is why you would play on a digital.
Oh yeah, that helps a lot.
Tabletop simulator, not in person. As much as I love the idea of playing games in person, I'm not, and I like rolling dice physically. You have to play this game with some kind of electronic, because you roll a lot of dice too. It's not a small amount of dice.
It's big dice pools. I heard a story of a dude who had he was a street samurai character with dual Uzis. And because they were dual Uzis and he did so much damage, he would put all his dice in a bucket and then throw them on the table with the bucket. Because that's how many dice he had.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it gets worse than that too, because it's like, it's a success system. It's not a value system. So
yeah, it's every die of a 5 or a 6 counts as a success. I think.
So it's not like you can just add, like you have to be like, all right, so this is the success.
Yeah, you have to put them like to the side and be like 1 success, 1 success.
All right,
2
here's the defense die that they rolled. Then you compare them and then you deal damage.
Yeah. So yeah, basically,
it's a whole system.
It's just not very elegant. A lot of it is, we just put mechanics on top of mechanics. It's like they just made a mechanic sandwich and didn't try to like weave things together in a nice way, or like they did that thing where, a game sometimes will do that thing where they're like, oh, how do you handle this situation? And then they give you an entirely new set of mechanics to deal with that specific situation, as opposed to tying it into the base foundation they've already created. They did a lot of that in Shadowrun, and it just becomes this crazy stacked up mess, and it becomes a situation where you're constantly having to reference, okay, how does this mechanic work? How does this mechanic work? Because none of them interconnect. None of them elegantly weave together in a way that is like, it's like a pile of mechanics as opposed to a nice tapestry of mechanics. Like I can't, that was kind of a weird example, but yeah. So
it feels like all the mechanics were afterthoughts in comparison.
It's
to
like
something
they were
that is built.
all the mechanics were designed by themselves. Like every designer designed their own mechanics, and none of them talk to each other, and they all put it in one book. And they're like, all right, there we go, we're done. And you're like, like imagine if in 5e you had a situation where, so if you have this weapon, you get an advantage on an attack. But if you have this weapon, you get an extra point. You get an extra 3 to hit on the attack. But if you have this weapon, you roll 6 more d6s to add to your attack. Like they just kept making up new mechanics for like a weapon helping, like being better. It's that kind of weirdness.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could go on and on. Also, there's lots of weird things. Like there's this mechanic in Shadowrun called Edge that just is like narrative fuck you GM points, basically, but not in a fun way like Star Wars, in like a really like adversarial way.
No, I love him.
I just
Because this is a war between the GM and the players.
Yeah.
We're not playing a game together. No, we're fighting.
And
You
it's
shot
really
me with the sniper rifle from the building. I mean, honestly, if you were to just kill a player like that unceremoniously, I would be like, all right, now fuck you.
I mean,
But
yeah.
in this example, you get shot, you die. They use the system and they just don't.
They
just
spend a
live.
point of edge and they just get to say, no, I don't.
Yep.
It's also kind of funny too, because
yes.
Shadowrun is aware of this problem because they made a version of Shadowrun called Shadowrun Anarchy, which is supposed to be a simplified version of the 5e system. And it was just like kind of a weird jumbly mess. And it was also a GM-less system, which is really fucking weird and doesn't make any sense for a cyberpunk game at all. But they went for it anyway.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I don't even know. It's, Shadowrun's an old game and it's got a similar problem. Like older editions of Vampire the Masquerade had this exact same problem,
Oh yeah, they kind of fixed it.
Yeah, they got better, but it's one of those things where games used to be designed with a different. Games used to think they used to be designed in such a fashion where it's like, we need a mechanic for every possible fucking scenario ever. And it's like, no, you do not. You do not need to tell me how to roll to take a piss.
I mean, the problem
Bada
is
bing.
that a lot of people would ask for those mechanics, and because
Right.
people were used to having rules for everything, they'd be like, I don't have a rule for that, so you do it.
Yep.
Or they'll make a rule.
Oh my God, Matt, you've heard the stories about grappling in 3rd edition?
Yeah, where like
Okay.
the
yeah.
rules used to be 2 pages,
2 or 3
like,
pages.
gigantic,
Take that, take grappling, just apply that to the whole game. Shadowrun.
for every fucking rule.
Pretty much.
I mean,
I'm over-exaggerating a little
I was
bit,
gonna
but
say that's a bit of an over-exaggeration.
I am over-exaggerating, but that's what it feels like.
Like, there are mechanics in the game that are like, yeah, you just roll one thing, you're
Yes,
done.
there are.
But then there are mechanics where it's like, okay, so if you're an expert with this particular thing, and like, so okay, I'm gonna tangent a little bit, I guess. So
Oh, we're so
it's
deep
fine.
in the
It's-
tangent hole.
This goes into equipment,
We are
though.
so far away from equipment right now. It's fine.
You say that, but I'm pulling right
Here we
back.
go. Here we go. Do it.
Okay. All right.
So, in Shadowrun, you can have expertise. I don't exactly remember what the
I think it's
game
literally called
mechanic.
expertise.
It might be. It's been so long since we played.
Yeah.
With weapons. And when I say expertise with weapons, do not eat teeth. That is weird. Maybe in a broth, but like that's a broth. That's different. Anyways, so you can have expertise with weapons or equipment or whatever. And what that expertise does is it gives you extra dice. Now, that might seem like nothing, but like it really helps specialize your character. And because you have to be specific about what you're an expert in. It can't be just like, oh, I'm an expert in long arms, which includes rifles, shotguns. I think those are the only two that actually fall under
rifles.
That's a rifle, my guy. But yeah, like long arms. But no, you have to say like sniper rifle, assault rifle, shotgun. You can't just say long arm.
You have to.
You can be an expert in multiple long arms. And get the same bonus, but every time you get that, it's something very specific.
It's like couldn't just say sidearms. You have to specify like pistols,
micro Uzi, like something like that,
shit like that.
Yeah. So it's very specific, but it allows you to build your character in such a way that one, your equipment feels very good for that character, and two, it does play into the system, which is good, but it also is not like a great combat system, unfortunately, because of the amount of dice that you have to roll, which again, if you have a digital system helping you, it's fine, because then you really just have to compare stuff, but then the damage comes into play and you end up having characters that don't understand the system and not having a weapon, because if you another little tangent, so there's two types of damage in Shadowrun 5e, which is the same thing that it was with White Wolf games for a while as well. So there's like actual like lethal damage, and then there's stun damage. And if you don't have a weapon and you're fighting with your fists, you're doing stun damage, which is an entirely different health bar.
Oh, also Shadowrun as a game is absolutely covered in system or in supplement bloat. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, it's bad.
So like you have a reason to specialize your character in certain equipment, where unlike D&D, it's like, all right, well, I could use a great sword or a great axe and they do the same damage type, so even with the feat, it's not like I specialized in one or the other. There's no uniqueness to them other than the difference in their dice, which like people will start being min-maxy, and then I just go, I like axe, yes. I like big fuck off axe. Hello, it's the return of that one.
The big fuck off.
Yeah. So like I really like that about Shadowrun. I really like building a character in Shadowrun.
Yeah, building is fun. Yes, building building quite fun.
I enjoyed playing because I built my character right.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely some of that going on.
If you don't understand what you're doing with your character because you don't really understand the system, then unfortunately you're probably going to have a really bad time. Because This is just me.
It's one of those games where you can fuck up your character real easy.
Oh, absolutely. But and I'm an advocate for, you should at least read the basic rules before you create a character, because if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, and I'm not saying memorize them, because that's asking for a bit much.
Game though.
Yeah, but like, you know, people are, if you don't understand the expertise system, or you don't understand that a weapon uses strength instead of dexterity, sorry, bud. You built your character wrong because you bought weapons that you can't use.
I think this is really funny. I'm sorry that you're talking around a story that I think you've actually told on podcasts before.
You did.
It's just really funny to me. Like, it just seems like just a sequence of subtweets.
I mean, yeah, Sam's trying to not go off on. I
just find it, that particular story I find hilarious because
it is funny. It was very funny.
It quite literally was, I built my character well. The other two players didn't, because they didn't read. And like, even during character creation, there was like, hey, you should probably do this. And they're like, okay, and then they didn't do it. And
There was
then
also a
they
very
were-
funny situation where one of the
didn't like
players
playing the game.
took hacking as a skill, which you literally can't use unless you're a decker. You need to have a very specific, like,
Yes.
it's not like you just make a hacking roll. Like, hacking is its own subsystem in Shadowrun,
Yes.
so you need to have a deck, you need to be a decker, you need to have the link to your deck. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, like I was playing a rigger, but I didn't have my rigger set up yet, so I didn't specialize in everything that a rigger would use yet because I just wasn't there. However, these players were like, I'm gonna build ahead of time, and I'm like, that's cool. We don't have any money for that. Like, but it really comes down to, at least in Shadowrun, building your character in a very specific way instead of, and like your character becomes unique because of how you build it, instead of like D&D where it's like, okay, well, other than the stat rolls and maybe feats, every champion fighter is going to be the same. Like, you know, you get different magic items, sure, but like this champion fighter over here mechanically with the +2 sword is the same one over here with the +2 sword.
Basically,
Like-
Isaiah, you should not have asked. Or Matt, I don't know which one of you asked, but whoever one of you asked shouldn't have
I think-
asked about Shadowrun.
About Shadowrun, that was me because I had no context.
We've gone down a dangerous road.
Yes, we have.
Look, I'm
Yeah.
just saying that, and I think this is a topic that I was actually saving for another time. I
Understandable.
like being able to allocate stat points and skill points on a character more so than checking a box and getting points into that every time your main stat or your proficiency bonus goes up, because 5e is fine. It's just very bare bones when it comes to actual character creation. That and yeah, this brings me to a particular announcement that you talked about, Josh. The reworking of the talent system in WoW, and it's just like, yeah, no, I can see that, because the reason why I really stopped playing WoW is because it felt like everything got really dumbed down. And yes, you know, there were very optimal builds, but there were quite a lot more of them, other than just like, no, every single paladin takes these 3 skills. So
Yeah. I didn't have somebody take over. I didn't have a follow up there.
yeah,
So
I
Electrum
don't either.
pieces.
no.
You know what? No. We're gonna get into that. Don't you worry. We're gonna get into Electrum
Yeah.
at some point.
Let's.
You're welcome.
No, I'm good.
I had this thought.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the good old Elden Ring, right? And I was thinking about one item in the equipment list that is kind of low key awesome, and it's soap. And now I know what you're saying. Is that what the fuck you're talking about right now? Did you
I am
know that
indeed.
soap was in Elden Ring?
No.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Matt, did you know soap was in Elden Ring?
Yeah.
Okay.
What the fuck?
So soap basically allows you to get rid of status buildup for things like poison and scarlet rot and shit like that. Soap is in the 5e equipment list. Why doesn't it just do something like that? I think it'd be really easy to do.
Does it do anything?
No, absolutely nothing.
No, it's just there.
I don't even know why I asked that. I should have known.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
Shame on
Costs 2 copper pieces, and that is all.
Wow.
2 whole copper pieces? Jeez.
Yep.
That's like a whole week's fucking salary.
It's more like
Damn.
half a day.
Whole week.
I've been farming the crop for 3 months.
No. Okay, all right. Because we have the amount a guard makes in a year. It's like what, 2 gold?
Yeah, it's not.
Really? Oh shit. Wow,
I've said this before. The distance between the money adventurers get and the money everyone else gets is so hilariously distant that adventurers are just every adventurer in 5e is Jeff Bezos, just all of them.
So okay, all right.
Man,
so
maybe I wasn't giving my players too much money then.
No, I'm happy you brought up money. I'm happy because
hold on. No. I need to talk about the guard's salary now. Okay. All right. So I don't know if this is 100% correct because I don't remember the exact value they give. But if 2 gold is a guard's salary, all right, their entire wages for the year, right?
Yeah.
So 2 gold is what? 200 copper? 10 to 10?
Yes.
Yeah. So for 365 days of the year, all right, a guard makes 0.5 copper a day.
Oh my god.
So
Holy
if
shit.
soap is 2 copper, that is 4 days of work.
I
For
was
a piece of
almost
soap.
right.
Oh,
my
shit.
god. I was
That's-
joking about a week's worth of pay, but I was almost right.
No,
That's really
hold
brave.
on. I'm looking.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Please do.
So
Holy
it says
fuck.
here, social status poor, unskilled laborers, costermonger. What the fuck? Someone look at what a costermonger is. I don't even have the time. Peddlers, thieves, and mercenaries make 60 silver. Yeah, you can literally spell it out.
One who
it's
sells fruit, vegetables, fish, or other goods from a cart, barrow, or stand in the street.
Isn't that just a cabinet merchant? Like, what
just
the fuck?
Yes.
say vendor.
Yeah, what?
I like that word. No, shut the fuck up. I like that D&D is
shut the
teaching
fuck
us
up.
words.
Shut
No,
up.
Daddy Crawford is
No, eat my whole ass.
Daddy
and everything
Crawford
in
is
between.
teaching us vocabulary.
No one is going to use the word costermonger.
I'm gonna use that word because I actually really like
I
that
gotta go
word.
down to
That's a
the,
good
to the market
word.
to the
View.
coster market.
Hell yeah!
Oh
no,
my
because
God.
because it's a specific kind of thing. Because it's someone who sells all of those things from a mobile stand, like a cart. So it's not
just a
just a vendor.
Fucking costermongers. Josh, going back to what you're saying.
It's a
lick
good
my entire
word.
asshole. No.
I'm gonna use that word.
No, if you
I
do,
like it
I'm
a
gonna
lot.
ignore that NPC, I promise
That's fine.
you.
I like that word.
Going back to what we were saying, though, is if you're
We're talking about how much a guard gets paid.
Yeah, so soldiers with families, laborers, students, priests, and hedge wizards? Oh, what the fuck is a hedge wizard?
You don't know what a hedge
Game?
wizard is?
No.
What about a hedge knight?
No, I don't know what the...
What?
Anyway, they make 300 silver pieces. No, what the hell's a hedge wizard?
How do you not know what a hedge knight is?
I don't... What is...
They're basically just wizards and knights that don't have like someone they serve. This
Well, what
is-
about them hedge rogues,
So
though?
they're just freelancers. Okay, that's...
I-
I've
they're
never heard of
Ronin.
it before. Oh my god.
I don't know. I felt like weebing it up a little.
I
It's
feel
high
physical
noon,
pain
samurai.
after that one. Just
God damn it. Yeah, okay. So they make about 300 gold pieces a month. So that's 30 gold. 30 gold a month.
What?
30,
You just said 300 gold.
Yeah, no, it's
Silver. Sorry, they make 300 silver. I'm still stressed from the technical difficulties.
300
Leave me
silver.
alone.
300 silver.
30 gold.
30 gold. So knights are pretty fucking loaded.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
no, just soldiers are pretty loaded.
Right. But again, still not as loaded as adventurers who get thousands in a day.
Yeah, but at least they can
alright.
afford soap.
So here's the thing.
True.
High priests get 300 silver pieces a month.
Which is what you just said for hedge knights.
No, 300 versus 3,000.
No, oh my god. You said 300 again.
My bad. Okay. High priests get 3,000 silver pieces a month.
Okay.
That's,
That's, yeah. That makes sense.
Does it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
100%.
Hey, listen, not to bring religion into this, but do you know how much priests get?
Yeah, priests are kind of ballers.
I know it. I mean, that's a whole different argument as to why that doesn't make sense to me. But
All right. Well, I mean, you know.
that's so wild. Yeah, I guess we could talk about money. Money's sort of part
of the equipment situation.
system.
Yes.
Why does Electrum suck so much? God, why is it in the game? Why every time? Oh my!
Go ahead, Matt.
Ooh, Matt.
Well,
I'm gonna go
I'm
first.
ahead out.
The fuck you
All right,
mean?
yeah,
Okay,
go
well,
for it,
you
go for it.
first, but Matt had Matt did some research on the topic.
When we were playing Avernus, and it was like you get statues of Electrum and Electrum ingots and Electrum pieces. I don't know if we got pieces, but it was the ingots in the statue.
Ingot, yeah.
We were literally like, all right, cool, useless.
Yeah, no, it's just the Gravity Falls memes. Wow, this is useless. It's just that.
I thought Sam put him there specifically because he knows how much we don't like Electrum, and we were in hell.
No, but I am writing that one down.
Yes.
Oh my
man,
fucking
it's
God.
a real shame that the civilization only uses Electrum. Let's
my
go,
God.
B.
Can you imagine if we just got fucked at the stock exchange or the currency exchange? And it's just wait, what?
We're gonna go to that new wizard area in the campaign, and that's all they're gonna use. They're all just gonna use Electrum pieces. We're like, I can't buy shit.
Oh my God, I would get so mad. They're like, exact change, please. You're just like, what?
Oh my God.
Also, I apologize, Chris, but yeah. So because I was doing a wee bit of research, and if anyone wishes to look up masterthedungeon.com, why everyone hates Electrum pieces. This article has been so great.
Do you want to read this?
It's been so good. Like, they go through the history. Like, apparently Electrum has been in D&D since first edition.
Yep.
And going into it, and exclusively like what's it used for. But then they go into the specific of why people hate using it in their game, and basically it boils down to like a $2 bill. You know, sure, it's a $2 bill, it exists and it's real currency, but they don't serve much purpose compared to like the next highest bill, like $5 bill. So why bother using a $2 bill?
Well, I think the weird thing is that it breaks the simple currency math that 5e has, right? Where something is always 10 of something else.
Yeah.
Because it's
fives, I think.
Yeah,
it's
it's something like it's 10 copper to a silver. What is it? 5 silver to an Electrum, but 10 silver to a gold, or something like that.
Something like that.
And then 2 Electrum, 2 a gold.
No, I hate that. That's terrible. No.
Yeah.
Stop.
Look, I mean, here's the thing.
I know. Yeah.
Here's the thing. On one hand,
no, I'm sorry. Hold on. I really do not like the fact that it's 1/10 of a platinum piece in that what you just posted, Matt.
Yeah.
I hate
that's from the article. That's what
I understand why, but I think it's stupid.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, look.
I'm looking.
My
I'm seeing
previous
disappointment.
comment about, I kind of like it when equipment is a little crunchier, right? That doesn't apply to money
No.
at all. I fucking hate overly complicated currency systems in games, and I hate that D&D uses it, and why? I'm sorry. I understand that it is historically more accurate, but I don't give a fuck. Just give me coin, please. Just coin. I don't care what kind of coin. It's coin.
Want to know what a great money system is, Josh?
You gonna say blades?
No, I was gonna say Burning Wheel.
Burning Wheel's a good one too.
Burning Wheel's currency system.
It's kind of like a stat in Burning Wheel.
Yep.
Oh,
you just have pocket money, but when you do any big purchases, so like you don't have to worry about paying for the inn or paying for food. But like if you were like, I want to get this like super amazing armor, it's gonna cost you a roll to see if you have the resources or the connections to get you that piece of equipment.
Yeah,
So
essentially
you don't even worry
cool.
about money at all.
Yeah,
essentially, you roll, so the idea is you roll and your wealth is a stat, and the idea is that you rolling your wealth stat, it's not literally called a stat, but, the idea is you rolling that wealth is a representation of liquid assets and also things you own. So it's, like in real life, right? When someone's like, this person is worth however much million, that doesn't this guy's worth 10 million. It doesn't mean he has 10 million in the bank. He has $1 million in the bank and 9 million worth of assets or whatever, right? So it's that kind of an idea.
interesting. So it's actually similar to the Wrath and Glory system of.
Maybe.
I know I'm the only one who knows anything about Wrath and Glory.
Yeah, no, I got nothing for you on that
So
one.
in Wrath and Glory, you have wealth, and it basically is a stat, right? If you want to, for example, bribe someone, you have to roll something plus your wealth, or maybe it's not called wealth. Maybe it's called it's either funds or wealth or something like that. But it basically is like your liquid influence.
Right.
And you can use it also as a currency in of itself. So it's like, if you want like a new shuttle, right? If you want like a gunship for your frigate, you have to like make the roll and then deduct 2 wealth from your total wealth. I could be getting that wrong. I haven't looked at the Wrath and Glory stats in like rules in like a year and a half, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
That's an interesting little, yeah, I mean, and the deducting part, Burning Wheel also does a similar thing where if, I believe, I forget exactly the minutia of the system, but I believe it's a situation where if you fail the roll, you can still buy the thing, but your wealth gets your wealth gets taxed. So like if you have 3 wealth and you're making an OB 3 test to buy a suit of plate mail, OB being you have to get 3 successes because it's a dice pool system. You go to buy the suit of plate mail, you only get 2 successes, so you fail the test, but you can choose to still buy it, but then your wealth goes down from 3 to 2. So it's that kind of a thing, which is again to represent your sort of tapping into your assets, right? You're not just using your liquid money. You're like selling the goat that you own to pay for the armor or something like that. So yes, Burning Wheel has a super cool money system. The reason I mentioned Blades is because Blades abstracts it out in a way that I like a lot because it's it's simple and easy to handle. Blades just says 1 coin is essentially a briefcase worth of money. So 1 coin is like a big chunk of change. It's not like pocket money. And you use 1 coin to like, oh, I need to hire some goons. 1 coin. You slap the briefcase of money on the table and the goons go, all right, cool, we're in, you know? So it's got that kind of movie heist feel of like, it doesn't, because, you know, in heist movies, right, it doesn't actually matter how much money's in the briefcase. It's just they slap a briefcase of money and, ooh, it's a lot of dollars, right? Like it doesn't actually matter what the amount is. So Blades does a similar thing. And it's like, yeah, you just slap the coin on there and then there you go. That's how much it is. And everything is done in increments of 1 coin, 2 coin, you know, like that's how it's all handled. And then you generally don't worry about small purchases. If you do need to worry about small purchases, you can roll on your wealth, which is sort of like your pocket money. It's not, you know, because coin, again, going back to the heist genre, right? Like the money in the briefcase is not money you're carrying around on you. It's money that you stole and you're keeping at your base. So Blades, the coin is sort of kept at home. You're not literally carrying it on you. So you roll your wealth, or I think it's your lifestyle is technically what it is, to represent the money you're carrying on you if you need to. You very rarely need to, though. So yeah, I like that particular system. I like both of those examples because they abstract it in a way that fits the genre and is interesting and sort of it makes buying things fun as opposed to buying things in D&D, which is just an annoying chore that we all have to do every once in a while. That's why everyone jokes about the shopping episode. Yeah. It's the math and this and the rolling to see if you get what you want. And then magic items don't have set prices. So you have to be like, hey, GM, can I have it for 100? No, it's 500. But the range says 100 to 500. I don't care. It's 500. You have to do that whole bullshit. It's,
I mean, am I the only one that likes shopping episodes? I don't know.
I love shopping episodes.
I fucking hate the shopping shit.
Here's my thing. I like, from a DM perspective, when I say, hey, guys, we're going to do a shopping episode next, session, not episode. God damn it. And so, think about what you want to buy, think about what you have, so we can go through the process a little bit quicker, and then nobody does the prerequisite work. And I'm like, you did this to yourselves. I'm just going to do whatever on my phone while you guys figure out what you want to buy.
Yeah, I mean, there's that argument of like, as a GM, you can kind of be like, I'm not going to do anything for a little while while you guys look at lists. But it's just not I hate it. It's such a pain in the ass to me. Like, I want cool equipment, but I don't want to have to make buying it like a huge undertaking.
So I had an interesting. Oh, go on, Matt. Sorry.
Sorry. Small stipulation. Unless it's like Burning Wheel, where there's actually a lot of subsystems, and playing a character who's balling out of control is actually like a fun thing you can do in that game because there's systems that you can manipulate and control, and there's mechanics that will make it feel like you're a cool ball and banker out of control kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's most games don't do that.
There's a whole race, the dwarves, that really like to play with that system.
Yeah, so. But most games don't do that, so it's not usually fun like that.
Matt, you were gonna say something?
I lost it.
Oh, sorry. Why did you forgore? Why do you forgore, Matt?
I'm sorry.
Because it's easy and it really hurts his feelies.
And it does a lot of damage.
Oh my god. Oh. So I had an interesting thought, and I think it's sort of funny that you don't like multiple coin types, Josh, because I feel like a part of that plays into the like, it's not that crunchy, but it adds a little bit more, and it also plays into the fact that you like more structured encumbrance.
Yeah, but again, I don't want that encumbrance coming from money is not something I enjoy necessarily. Like I said, the crunchiness of equipment does not apply to the money system for me. I want the money system to be fairly straightforward. The equipment, the stuff you're buying, I want to be fun. The thing you're using to buy it, I want to be fairly quick and snappy. You know? Which maybe I'm being unreasonable, but yeah.
No, I don't think you're being unreasonable. It's an interesting mindset, to say the least, because it's I actually really like just copper, silver, gold, and platinum, because it just makes things so much easier to be able to convert and be like, okay,
right, but wouldn't you prefer to just not have to convert at all? Wouldn't that be easier?
It'd be easier, but just because it's easier doesn't necessarily mean I want that. I do like a little bit of the extra crunch, and like it's funny. It's I'm bringing this up and kind of being I'm not lying, but my own like the game that I'm running, I literally have one currency type, and it's just units of currency. Because one of the few problems with Hellscapes, it just says like currency is whatever it's important to people in the apocalypse. So it could be water, it could be bullets, it could be anything.
Yeah,
you want.
well, that's because that makes sense for the genre, though.
It does. It does make sense.
Having a complicated currency system for a post-apocalypse is like that would be so contrived.
Yeah. So
which is side note why I find bottle caps in Fallout kind of fucking stupid, but that's a whole other thing.
I'll trade you 2 chickens for a gallon of water.
So
Deal.
here's the thing: the bottle caps it's a comedic thing.
I know.
Not only
Your
that,
hate of Fallout, I will never understand.
I know.
Bottle caps are not only, a comedic thing, but it's also like, how do you translate like value of items that you're carrying around to all the valuable items there in an older game? Because like, you gotta remember that like Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 are extremely old.
I always, for me with post-apocalypse, I always like just being like, what's the money? Scrap. I like just scrap. That's a good one for me.
I mean, that's basically what it is in my game. It's just units of currency is just whatever people find important. So like jewelry, scraps of precious metals, motherboards, and just anything. Because it's just like I'm personally too lazy to make the system up myself.
Exactly.
It's more on trading and bartering than
copper,
currency.
silver, gold. Then I'm like, good. Yeah, I'm sorry. What did you say,
yes.
Matt?
Matt said it's more trading and bartering than currency, which yes, it is 100%. That's the idea. That's what it's supposed to represent. Because again, for the genre of post-apocalypse, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I just hate the breakdown. I hate having to remember how many coppers go into a gold and all that. It just annoys me. I just don't want to do it.
It's because it's math.
Yeah, but it's like not fun math, right? Like it's not math that I give a shit about is the problem, right?
All right, buddy. What is fun math to you other than damage numbers go Bert?
Just that one.
I was gonna say, I feel like he's gonna just say just damage numbers go Bert.
Yeah, just that one. I mean, there's probably
damage
others.
Fireball.
I just can't think. I actually don't hate encumbrance. TBH.
I hate encumbrance.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense to me, Isaiah. You're like, no, multiple currencies, that's fine, but don't you dare make me count the weight of that money. Like, what?
Yeah,
huh?
well, because look,
explain. America, explain.
America, I will explain. Hello, okay. I'm America. No one likes being told you can't carry all your money on you. Because it feels very like, yes, it's more realistic, but it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, but it's one of the few situations where you can throw the realism out the window for all most people care.
But
because being told like, oh, cool, you find a magic item shop out in the middle of nowhere and it took you 2 months to get here, and 90% of your funds is not in the area. Have fun coming back. No, fuck that.
I mean, I guess the problem is our modern perception of money is, it's paper that we stuff in our pocket, whereas back in the day it was fucking, inch in diameter gold metal discs. Those shits get heavy quick, like There's
I think
a
it
weird,
depends on the game. Like if you're playing a survival type game, like like in
Yeah.
Icewind Dale, we did Encumbrance and we found a dwarven treasure vault, and we're like, shit, we cannot carry all this money. Fuck, what do we do?
Yeah, I like.
We're like, we're never coming back here because we hate this place.
Yeah,
so
I
we
mean,
had to
that's-
like Tensor's floating disc half of it, and be like, all right, carry it up, stuff it in your pants, make sure.
But I like that, Matt. The fact that you guys had to think, how are we going to use all this money? And we have a use for this shitty spell, Tensor's floating disc, right? Like, that's what I like about Encumbrance, is that it forces you to like come up with some like fun, creative solutions sometimes.
Yeah, I like it too, but I think it depends on the game you're playing, honestly.
I mean,
I just hate
sort of.
Encumbrance in general.
Here's
I
the
think
thing.
it's kind of an awful system. I get why it exists, but
So here's my thing, right? even if money encumbrance doesn't matter, common sense can still matter. So it's like, yeah, okay, realistically there could be 2 million pieces of gold in this dwarven treasure hoard. You as the GM can say money encumbrance doesn't matter, but this is a little ridiculous.
Okay,
Right, like-
Isaiah, are you ready for the counter hit?
Sure.
Okay, here comes the counter. In your own words, putting things in the book to help GMs clarify these problems is always a good thing. And by not having it in the book, players are going to argue. So if you make money not cost any encumbrance, and then you drop a giant pile of gold, and players are going to say, well, there's no encumbrance to the money, so why can't we take it, GM? And then it becomes an argument.
No, you just say, because it's a lot of money. And
I understand from a logic standpoint, but I'm just saying it's going to become a fight then. Potentially. I mean, not guaranteed, but
it doesn't have to be. Just all you have to do is the GM is say, yeah, it doesn't matter, but it's a lot of gold.
right. But the players are, but again, if it's not in the book, like you always advocate for, put it in the book to help, right? If it's not in the book, then they're going to have an argument to be like, well, rules is written. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I mean, yes, I understand what you're saying, but I think it's you're kind of mountain out of a molehilling it.
I mean, I am a little
'Cause
bit, yeah.
Blades does the same thing. Coin is coin, right? It's like one coin is a briefcase of money. And you can have a lot of coin, but it's like reasonably sure you cannot carry a safe around with you.
Blades does have a limit on how much coin you can carry on you. I forget exactly what it is, but there is a limit of, if
It's
you remember,
2 coin.
Yeah, there exactly. So there is a personal limit, so it does account for that already. And also in a heist game where you're doing like, where you're like, you're not expected to find a dragon's hoard in Blade, right? Like it's a little different genre wise. You're stealing the deed to the house, but you're not necessarily like robbing a vault,
Not necessarily. You
you
beat
can
bank robbers and Blades.
But here's the thing: if you do the bank robbing thing in Blades, then the fiction has shifted, and now you're going to focus a little bit differently. So we need to have a way to get all the money out, or it's gonna the GM's gonna change how things work. It's a little different. There's different expectations.
Yeah, sure, fine. I'll give you that, but I do still think that it will. I'm willing to say 9 out of 10 times will not end in a fight.
I'm not saying it will 100%. I'm just saying if you disregard encumbrance on money, I could see situations like you can't have both. Is basically what I'm saying. You either gotta have encumbrance or not have encumbrance.
No, I disagree completely. I completely disagree with you. I think you can absolutely have both. I know you can, because I've not only have I played in situations where you have both, I've run situations where you have both, and it's very, very rarely a problem. Right? It's as simple as being
also,
here's 20,000. Go on, sorry.
No, I was gonna say also
bag of holding.
bag of holding just solves most of these issues.
It does.
Yeah,
It solves a
obviously,
lot of
which
them.
is, that's the thing, right? The bag of holding is just the fuck you button anyway. Like, that's literally why it exists. So, yes. Conflicting feelings on the bag of holding, but,
Well, that's because everyone treats it like the handy haversack when
yeah.
They don't. But I think, honestly, I'm one of those people who I'm just like, just combine the items. Fuck it at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Completely fucking agree. I do like the idea that potentially the handy haversack is cheaper because it's,
I don't even remember 100% what the difference is.
haversack holds less items, and it specifically says you can use an item to draw any item, an action to draw any item in the haversack that you want.
Doesn't the bag of holding say that too?
No, bag of holding is random.
You can do it. No, it's not random.
It's because you stick your hand in and it's a random item. You don't get you don't get the specific item.
Hold on, I'm gonna read those.
That's not a thing.
I'm pretty sure if you do it during combat, it says.
All right. We're reading it verbatim. This is happening. We're doing it live on air.
Okay.
This bag has an interior space considerably larger than its outside dimensions, roughly 2 feet in diameter at the mouth and 4 feet deep. The bag can hold up to 500 pounds. Oh yeah, it's not unlimited, by the way, but that's a whole other thing. The bag can hold up to 400 pounds, not exceeding a volume of 64 cubic feet. As an American, I don't even know what that means. So whatever.
8 foot by 8 foot by 8 foot.
That's volume.
The bag weighs 15. It's a lot of shit. I know it's a lot. The bag weighs 15 pounds, regardless of its contents. Retrieving an item from the bag requires an action. If the bag is overloaded, pierced, or torn, it ruptures and is destroyed, and its contents are scattered in the astral plane. If the bag is turned inside out, its contents spill forth unharmed, but the bag must be put right before it can be used again. Breathing creatures inside the bag can survive up to a number of minutes equal to 10 divided by the number of creatures, minimum 1, after which they begin to suffocate. Placing a bag inside an extra-dimensional space created by a Heward's handy haversack, portable hole, or similar item instantly destroys both items and opens a gate to the astral plane. The gate originates where the one item was placed inside the other. Any creature within 10 feet of the gate is sucked through it to a random location on the astral plane. The gate then closes. The gate is one way and can't be reopened. So the bag does not say it's random, but it also doesn't say you can pick, but it is still an action.
Yeah, okay. So I was mixing up with something else then.
So yeah, that's a little odd.
Yeah, because I always thought for some reason that the haversack, you were able to always pick whatever item comes out of it, but the bag of holding was randomized, and then everyone was just like, that rule is dumb, so we're just going to choose to ignore it. But I guess I was just wrong, and everyone was just doing it the right. Everyone's been doing it the right way, and I thought everyone was doing it the wrong way, including myself.
I think the problem is this weird the
haversack.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Sam.
No, it's fine.
I think it just holds less shit. Is the difference?
It does, but the weird thing it does say is that when you reach into the haversack for a specific item, the item is always magically on top.
Right, which the bag of holding doesn't say.
It doesn't say, but it says retrieving an item from the bag requires an action. It doesn't say that it's random, and I'm gonna be real. If your GM,
it doesn't say it's random on either of them, which is kind of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be honest.
I have no idea where I heard that then.
I vaguely remember seeing that somewhere as well.
It could be. It could have been a thing in older versions. I have no idea, to be honest.
I've definitely seen that they've had to roll for grabbing the specific item you want out of the bag of holding. It may have been a different item, something very similar, but
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and
maybe it's a fuck you bag of holding.
I hate to be that guy who throws down hard statements on things.
Why not? We're on the internet. Who cares?
Yeah, it's fair enough. But I'm sorry, if you're a GM and you make your players roll to pull shit from the bag of holding, you're a dickhead.
I mean, that was very firm, but also I'm not necessarily going to disagree. So
maybe in the midst of combat, if time's crunching, it's maybe you're too stressed to think about the item you want. So maybe a wisdom check or save or something. I can see a situation where maybe the very specific stars align that would require you to make a check or something, but otherwise you're a dick. You fucking dick.
Duck.
No, I'm sorry. You're an asshole. I just think the haversack should be, it's less, it's cheaper, and it's easier to hide somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. The existence of the bag, the fact that the bag of holding even exists and is such an iconic item, you could make an argument is indicative of a problem in the system. But I don't. I don't know.
I think
I'm very conflicted. I don't like. On one hand, I say yes, gold pieces are big and heavy and should matter, but on the other hand, I kind of see the argument for like, who the fuck cares? I don't know.
Okay, so here's my thing.
I'm backpedaling.
Encumbrance in D&D is based off of literal weight. There's no, this one does 1 tick. This thing does 2 ticks.
Yeah,
this
it's not like Star Wars.
It is pound by pound. That is annoying to keep track of.
It is.
Especially if you are doing pen and paper and not an electronic system. It is also just kind of annoying in general to have to keep track of the poundage or if you have the thing with you or not, because even in the digital space, generally not like they have the equipped tag on Roll20, for instance, but they don't have the "is it with me" tag. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess I want D&D to have a more Star Wars-esque system where it's smaller numbers, right? It's less granular, and it accounts for both the weight and the shape of a thing. You know, I guess I just want something more like that. I don't necessarily love the way 5e does it, that everything is purely based on weight, and the fact that it is pound by pound by pound. Also, the amount of shit that player characters can carry is fucking redudonkulous. Like, my little 5'4" bitch-ass tiefling sorcerer can carry like 200 pounds before he's encumbered, which is fucking bananas. Even if it's on your back, that is a wild amount of weight. So, you know, that's a whole other thing. Oh, it's also worth pointing out, by the way, that in Star Wars,
just built different.
Yeah, right. It's also worth pointing out that an interesting thing that Fantasy Flight Star Wars did too was when you're wearing something, the encumbrance value actually changes. So like the encumbrance of armor, if you have it in your bag, is 3, but when you put it on, you subtract 3. So wearing armor doesn't encumber you, because the idea is it's built to be worn, so it doesn't really impede you. But carrying a full suit of armor in your backpack is kind of a pain in the ass, so it would impede you. So that's also a good system. And
it is, yeah.
I almost feel like 5e is kind of, because of how ridiculous the numbers get in 5e, it almost feels like they're kind of implying that with the armor you wear anyway, but not saying it. But
I don't think they are. I
think that's part of their thinking. They just didn't say it outright, but I could be wrong.
If it is, it's not clear in the slightest. I'm gonna just say it.
Like, what I mean is, like, the fact that your little scrawny wizard can carry 200 pounds is because they're accounting for the fact that the shit he's wearing is not really part of the equation, even though they're counting it in the numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
I get
it's
what
like
you're saying,
phantom weight.
If it was their intention, it's not clear.
It's not clear, and I don't know if it's 100% the case, but it almost kind of feels like it. But now I mean, that's speculation, so I had that's the point.
What other things that I wanted to talk about? I had so much in my head.
Gold was, money.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Money says, fuck it. I don't know, man. Make equipment cool. Like, equipment cool would be, nice.
Equipment cool.
So I know. So John, I know you could make that. So I know, like, you've looked at for the artisan tools and stuff from Xanathar's guide. Like, do you not like any of the stuff they added, or do you want?
No, it's fine. Like, it just never comes up.
I mean, I guess it depends if your character's proficient with that artisan tool. Like,
I have.
I've had it come up for me a few times.
Very few, but a couple of times.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what Sam's character's proficient with.
If you, as Chef's Tools, if you as a player. Right. Yeah, I use them constantly. You cannot tell me that I don't.
Well, that's a little different, though, because you're using the feat ability, so it's, like, not the same, you know what I mean?
That's because I got the proficiency from the feat.
From the feat, right. So it's a little different than just using them on their own.
Yeah, but you made me roll without that proficiency.
True.
Anyways, what I was going to say, if you, as the player, make your character use these particular tools on a regular basis, it will come up. If you as a player look at that and go, oh, that's really cool, and wait for your DM to bring that up.
To invite it, yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah,
do it.
it is a
Just
more
do it,
player-facing
Forehead.
thing.
It's an extremely player-facing thing. A lot of the mechanics, especially for equipment, is player-facing and not DM-facing. Yeah, sure, the DM gives it to you, but like the player uses it.
You have to remember to.
Yeah.
It is also it does also vary based on item, right? Like everyone makes jokes about how thieves' tools is the only tool proficiency that gets used all the time, right? And then like if you have brewer's tools, it's like LOL, good joke, bro, you know? So that is a factor too, is like some get used more than others.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
it is a bit of a shame. And that's actually, it's funny. That kind of brings us back to the original point, which is, and they okay, in all fairness, they did do this in Xanathars, where they're like, toolkit, examples of uses for it. So
they did for the
it.
toolkits, yes.
Yeah,
They
that's what I
did do
meant.
it.
Yeah.
They just, I feel like, did not advertise it enough.
Yeah, the problem is it was an addendum to an existing thing and not there from the start.
Well, it could be an addendum, but it felt like the addendum was, and I could be wrong about this. I will freely say that. It felt like it wasn't advertised. It wasn't the new revamped proficiency stuff for toolkits. You know what I mean? Because I still see people who are like, potions, is that medicine kit or alchemist kit? I believe technically, or herbalists, it's technically, I'm pretty sure it's alchemist kit. But
I don't remember.
Did not tell you.
I'm looking right
I'd
now.
have to
I
look at
think
the
I think herbalist kit, because alchemist kit, it's like you can create a puff of smoke, identify poisons, identify a substance, start a fire, neutralize acids. You can craft, collect raw. A character can spend money to collect raw materials, which weigh 1 pound for every 50 gold spent on the alchemical item, like perfume or oils, or hey, you can make soap for 50 gold. Damn.
Hell yeah, let's make
Damn,
some
that's fucking expensive ass soap.
How much soap do you make?
Probably a
in
lot.
comparison to
I
the
better
equipment
be
table.
able to cave a troll's skull in with that soap.
With a brick of soap.
Yeah, that shit better be fucking messy.
You got the
Like-
troll comes up on you, is like, all right, boy, we've got to square up, and you just hold a massive, like anvil-sized chunk of soap over your head, and he just, oh, never mind, this guy's fucking nuts. I'm
if
out.
it's not the Edda and Eddie, like the
Yeah.
hat of discipline, do you live in a cave? Then what the
but with the
fuck
soap.
even? Oh, God.
It's the soap
Ooh,
of
I
discipline.
don't-
Do you live in a cave, troll? Yeah, actually, no, I do. I'm a head back. You know what? I'm a just
Just
bye. Just fucking beat it with
Whack.
some soap.
Whack.
Fuck, that's funny. God damn. Oh God, that's a great mental image. Or maybe the troll's just afraid of the soap because he doesn't want to clean himself.
Also a possibility.
This is a weird tangent. What were we talking about?
Tool
All the
proficiencies.
artisan kits and tool
tool
proficiencies.
proficiencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's a player-facing thing. A lot of this stuff I feel should be more player-facing than DM-facing. Like DM gives cool equipment.
Magic
but, like, the
items in the player's handbook. Who said that?
No one said anything. You kind of sung that. Not well, but like you sung
well.
it.
Nobody said I was a singer. I don't. Damn, I had another train. Somebody say something else. I had a train of thought and then it left me.
Well, I mean, we were talking about magic items. I just gonna get them. Just plug Midgar Heroes. If you want your players to have cool new weapon ideas and you don't want to give them magic items because magic items can be overpowered as shit, give their normal items tags or special abilities or change the dice up. Just do anything that makes it seem a little more flavorful. But you just don't want to give them a flame tongue or a Vorpal sword.
I mean,
But
it is worth
Isaiah,
pointing out.
What's a tag?
You know,
I don't know what that is.
If anyone listens, I'm not publishing this, so no. But I actually did end up making a list a few times of like different tags that I would want to see in equipment. Like one of them that I was really happy that I came up with was tandem, which is like if you have two of the same items. So if you're doing like tonfa or daggers or like hook swords, if you have two white items with the tandem tag, they don't require the light property to dual wield.
Well, that's a good idea.
Or like defensive, it's like, a parrying dagger would have the defensive tag and it gives you just a passive +1 And you could, like, for example, combo that with something like Defensive Duelist or, you know, Dual Wielder. And you're like, oh, cool. You can start building things differently.
I think though Sam was trying to actually get you to explain eggs.
What? No,
it's fair
that's
enough.
impossible.
Sure, I'll explain tags about 15 minutes too late. So tags, dear listeners, are those the little splash words that you see underneath items. So, for example, longsword has versatile, rapiers have finesse, daggers have thrown. If you're the psychopath that uses a lance, you have special, which is its own can of worms that does wacky, wild, woohoo bullshit.
Oh yeah, don't even fucking special. What an underutilized mechanic.
Yeah.
Yep, nets as well. I've never seen anyone use a net before in attacking, but if you want to do it, bud, you're fucking a legend.
Yeah.
Some straight G stamp material right there.
Battle shall be legendary?
What was
go for it.
No, I was asking what
Sam said our battles shall be legendary. Question mark.
Yeah. So apparently in 5e, at least, the whole tag thing, they're called weapon properties.
They are, yes.
That's the official naming.
tags.
That's the same thing, though.
I know. I just figured I'd
It's just
throw
a
that.
different name for the same system.
Yeah, they're tags. I don't care.
All right.
They're tags in every other game I've ever played. Like,
This is the Dark Souls versus Elden Ring runes thing, Josh. This is the other side of this argument. Welcome.
let's not. My reason for consciously calling them runes is different situation. But anyway, we're not gonna get into it.
We're not going to talk about Elden Ring again?
Oh.
No?
I mean,
Why
Elden
not?
Ring has some cool equipment. There's that.
Yeah, dude.
Although I would make an argument that Elden Ring went a little overboard with the magic items, but that.
No, steal all the magic items for your D&D games from Elden Ring.
Weapon
Do it.
arts? Question mark?
Do it.
No, the weapon arts I like.
Smiley face?
Actually, weapon arts would be kind of a fun thing to put in D&D, come to think of it.
It's the Midgard stuff.
What?
Weapon arts is just the Midgard stuff.
Right. But the idea that you can have an ability that you can swap to other weapons.
And some weapon arts are just spells, like flat out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
God, is
Actually-
Elden Ring just D&D?
I mean, it is. I mean, yeah, the D&D inspiration is very heavy. Actually, though, that did give me a thought.
Mhm.
Something that super annoys me, and this is not actually a D&D call out. I think this is a call out of a lot of games. Is a lot of games do not have a reason to use different equipment, right? So, the obvious one, we'll go with the low-hanging fruit. If we're fighting skeletons, I should have to bring out a hammer because you can't stab a skeleton. I mean, you can kind of stab a skeleton, but you can't effectively stab a skeleton. So I would love it if more games had some sort of system that really encouraged bringing multiple weapons and having to swap between them and being like, okay, I need my spear for this fight. All right, now I need to bring out my sword because the enemy's gotten too close. Oh, this guy's armored up. I'm going to need to use a halberd. Oh, this guy's, got plate mail and a shield. I'm going to have to get a fucking, like a Danish axe or like a warhammer or something to cave his skull in. Like, that idea of different weapons suiting different problems is something that I think is really underutilized. And I would love to see in literally anything, because I can't think of any game that does it very much, honestly. Generally it's like
D&D.
Huh?
The second edition D&D.
Oh, did second edition do that? Interesting.
I mean, skeletons literally would I think they would take like no damage from slashing weapons. And
Yeah, they were
weapons.
immune, I believe.
You had to use blunt damage, and there were a lot of things that were like that. So like it
Yeah.
incentivized having multiple sets of equipment, and we're gonna go fight undead. We're gonna use this. It's kind of like how it's like when you fight something like a revenant in 5e, where it's like you have to burn it or deal radiant damage because it's just gonna keep coming back. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that I think adds a lot of fun to equipment, is having to be like, I need to make sure I have a sword, a hammer, a bow, a spear to like, deal with all these problems. Because as a lot of games are right now, and again, this is not a D&D only problem, this is most games. It's like, all right, I got a sword. I'm going to use this sword to solve all problems in existence. All issues in the multiverse can be defeated by my blade. Even Orphanage. What? That Orphanage?
What?
Wow.
You fucking what?
Yeah.
What do you got against orphanages, my guy?
It's going to the timestamps. Orphanage.
I meant what the fuck did I mean? I meant like my sword can even solve problems like poverty, I guess is what I was getting at.
You can solve an orphanage's problems with a sword.
Are you going Anakin on us? Is this what's happening?
I don't.
Oh my god.
I think we need to
Wait,
talk.
Josh, you're forgetting
Who's
about
your
the most.
Palpatine?
I don't know.
Josh, you're forgetting about the most powerful weapon of all, and it just came
Friendship?
out in the Magic the Gathering set,
Oh, this is not
the
friendship.
Sword of Dungeons and Dragons.
No,
It does
don't.
bludgeoning,
I'm
piercing,
killing you.
and
I
slashing
know. I'm
damage.
so
Let's
ugly.
go.
That's it. You're going. That's it.
So
I'm
ugly.
done. He's going into Fuji, everybody.
It's
That's
so
happening.
beautiful. Look how massively ugly it is.
It's such an ugly. Anyway,
I love this though.
I
Yeah, anyone on the internet, look up Magic the Gathering, Sword of Dungeons and Dragons, and just bear witness.
to answer your
What is
question,
it?
Sam, I think my Palpatine's just my cat. But anyway,
Nice.
like, yeah, wow. Point I was getting at, I would like it if the fighter, couldn't just be like, I stab all my problems. That's really, that was the crux of the argument. I don't know why murdering orphans somehow, I don't know what I was trying to say.
I think it's also-
I want to know too.
I don't know.
I think it's also because a lot of D&D players, they don't, they have this idea in their mind for their character, or at least this is, I'm just probably, not even D&D, this could be probably for any game system, where they have, mostly D&D, but like, they have
most games, I said.
Most games, I know.
Yeah.
But most people have this idea of the character who's like, Conan wielding the sword, or the
I get
barbarian
it.
with the axe. Most people have the idea in their head of, I only want to use this one thing, unless I find like a super powerful,
it's like
alternate
I'm
version
gonna
or something
I
else.
want to. I want to
Yeah.
play John Wick, and my image of John Wick is dual pistols, so I'm always going to use. Like, I get that, I do.
But I do agree with you that more players should, mix
I
it
think
up.
it would be more. Yeah, I think it would
Yeah.
be more fun if you had to like,
if you're
carry multiple. Now, granted, all of this comes with the caveat of that you would probably have to adjust encumbrance a little bit to make it not annoying.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's
you would
that
have to do a
problem.
lot. You'd have to design the entire system basically around that rather than the pounded
Yeah,
system.
no, it would
Because-
it would have to be a stronger foundation type situation.
Yeah, because.
But again, I haven't seen any games that I can't think of a game that has done it very well, unfortunately. Kind of like, meh. I think a lot of it would, I think a really good way to do this, would be based around like effective ranges, right? Because if you think about it, the reason that soldiers carried swords on a battlefield in medieval times was not to sword fight. It was, oh no, this guy got too close to me, so I can't effectively use my spear, so I have to pull my sword out because he's in my face, right? So that would be, I think, an interesting way to do it too, is like, but obviously then you're talking about more granularity to engagements beyond just like 5-foot squares or be, then you'd have to have a close and then like a very close and then like a face-to-face range. So that's like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But it's a fun idea on paper, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Actually, I don't know why. Oh, yeah, go for it.
I've cut you off so many times. Just fucking go, please.
That's all good. All right, so I was gonna actually this may be for the fighter episode, but like on that same thing. Do you guys feel like all fighters should have like the battle master
No,
maneuvers?
we can't. Oh, Matt, no,
No,
don't.
I know.
You're gonna
Alright,
send
that's
me
alright.
off for another hour. I can't get into this right now.
Sorry,
Quick
it was just
answer,
it
yes.
came
Matt?
into my
Yeah,
head.
short answer, yes. Short answer, yes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll save that for another episode.
Sam,
How are you?
what's your quick answer on that one?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it should just be baseline. I like instead
Yeah.
of getting more feats, they should just have more features.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's more complicated than just a yes, but yes, I could go on that one for a while. TBH.
All right, next time.
On the face.
Yeah, but also although to rear it back, Isaiah did have a point that the Midgard abilities on the weapons kind of are Battle Master maneuvers in a way. So that's another way you could solve the problem is rather than tie the maneuvers to the class, tie the maneuvers to the weapons. That's not a terrible idea. Maybe it is.
Fighter,
I don't know.
Please.
I think aren't some of the maneuvers tied to weapons already?
No.
No.
Well, no. So they have weapon requirements. But what I'm saying is, rather than Battlemaster being a subclass that gets maneuvers, you have maneuvers attached to the weapons, so any fighter subclass can use it. Like you can be a Rune Knight, and you can take the like sweeping maneuver if you have like a spade-tipped greatsword. Then you can use the sweep maneuver because it's attached to the sword, not your subclass.
Right.
Yes, some of the maneuvers have weapon requirements, but that's doing it in the other direction, which I don't like really. I mean,
Also,
I get it, but yeah.
I mean, another thing about like fighter for that particular instance is that you have to plan for your fighter to have particular weapons versus, oh, I picked up this weapon, I can now do this thing because I am a fighter and I know how to do this.
Right.
So it makes it more, and I know I said I like character building, but I think that in particular, like building your character to use one weapon rather than maybe
use one weapon
very effectively, but like use several others that are nearly the same thing, like phalanxes, same family. There we go. That's the word that I was looking for. These weapons are in the same family. You know, I don't know.
Think about it. Would be kind of sick though, right? If you're like, we got captured, we don't have anything on us, and like you like choke a guard out and pick up his spear, and then now you can do a bunch of like 6 spear maneuvers because you're such a like G of a fighter that you just know how to do it.
Weapon master fighter.
Yeah.
That should be a subclass.
That should be a subclass. That's actually a fun idea. I like that a lot.
I agree.
I like the idea of a weapon. Anyways,
what is our current time? How long have we been going for? It feels like a long
2 hours.
time.
2 hours and
Okay.
2 minutes.
Yeesh. Sheesh. I'm gonna have such a hell of a time doing the timestamps for this episode.
Orphanage?
Orphanage?
Question mark?
Still don't know why I said that. Anyway, Isaiah, I guess, I don't know, take us away.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a clusterfuck of an episode, hasn't it?
A little bit. It's all right. It's fine.
All right, it's fine. It's fine. We had technical difficulties. We talked about the equipment. You know what's sad is we missed a lot of things that I wanted to talk about. We just not gonna have the time.
Is there any really important ones you want to like hit real quick?
God, now that you put me on the spot, I can't think of them.
Of course.
I had so much stuff I want to talk about, but I don't remember.
Well, nothing that I can bring up quickly. Like nothing that doesn't involve like revamping of systems. Because like damage, yes, I completely agree about like the damage typing and like the fighter should be a battle master, but that goes into different things and why that could sort of play into equipment typing and there's so much, but nothing we have time for. So yeah, I think to recap, try to mix it up. Try to make things a little more interesting for your players. Don't be afraid to experiment with your equipment. You know, maybe change the dice as long as it equals the same number. Throw some fucking floating modifiers in there. Bring that shit back. That was a dumb idea that they took it away. I get that it's made the math more complicated, but it's fine. D&D can afford to get a little more crunchy. Check out the Heroes of Midgard handbook because it's really cool. And this is not, again, not sponsored in any way. Just, I love it. You should love it. It's awesome. And until then, that'll be everything. It's been us. We're clocking out. We're signing out. We'll see y'all later.
What? You're just gonna ignore the other 3 of us? We're not allowed to have a closing thought?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. I didn't want to say equipment cool again anyways.
Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
No.
Other than equipment cool?
No.
Was he literally gonna say that too?
I mean,
Glad.
And give your players the sword of Dungeons and Dragons.
no, don't do that.
Kill any player
But
that
equipment's
asks
cool
for it.
though.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I do have closing thoughts, but thinking about it, you kind of hit what I was gonna say, I suppose. So that's
God
good.
damn it.
But
Equipment, cool.
hold on,
Hell yeah.
hold on. We do there's some important.
Uh-huh.
We got new viewers rolling in recently. God damn it, listeners. So hey fam, you want to go? If you use the Funny Bird app we all call Twitter, give us a follow. And if you're over on the YouTubes, hit the subscribe button, por favor. That'd be nice.
Then ring a dang
Now.
that bell, please.
Now I'm done.
Okay.
Equipment cool.
Equipment cool.
Hell yeah.
All right, that'll be it. That's all for realsies this time. We're goodbye, friends.
Goodbye forever.
Yeah.